how indifferent we've become. We've forgotten what it is to be astonished. Another new plane, one more, so what? But there is something unusual about it. It's long and has a sharp snout, and its head is lowered. There hadn't been any like this before. And it has a delta wing folded back to the tail. The wing's leading edge is razor sharp. A powerful 4-engine unit is mounted below. And there's another singularity. It has no stabilizer. This is the new Tupolev Supersonic airliner. Andrei Tupolev, now in his 80s, possesses talent and insight to such a degree as to become a living legend. This film is about the Tu-144, his latest model, in a long life wholly dedicated to aircraft engineering. When it was conceived several years ago, there were few, even among the top rankers, who believed in its practical realization. They would often get together like this and calculate, design, ponder, and discuss indefinitely.
А что мы можем ждать от этого утончения по качеству самолета? Чего 0,2?
Качество, да, максимального качества.
Сколько процентов? Сколько процентов?
Это порядка 3%.
They had worked together for years and understood one another at a glance. It's said locally that anyone who can out-argue the general designer can count on a bonus or a promotion. Couldn't a flutter effect appear in your control system? And the body strengthening engineers will see how much metal they must add. I'll do the drawings counting on the body strengthening engineers making their corrections. Get started, and we'll find some time later for a report back. That will help us arrive at the overall final form. We discussed that question 2 days ago. It's clear now. You finished turning over the finals to Ilyushin so he can speed up his part of the job. The model was tested at supersonic speed. And here the character of the streamlining was studied. The Tu-144 required 10 times more investigation in the Great Wind Tunnel than any previous aircraft. This is father and son. Andrei Tupolev has trained hundreds of aircraft designers. He founded a school of aircraft engineering. His son Alexei, chief designer of the Tu-144, has followed in his footsteps. A tailless design was chosen. What would it look like in reality? The Tu-144 would have been inconceivable without metallurgists, chemists, instrument makers, and electronic experts taking an active part in its development. New alloys and new kinds of rolled metal were needed. The electronic equipment accounts for half the plane's cost. Some 10,000 parts are made of plastics. So the building of this plane was a common achievement of Soviet science and technology. This is a fighter plane. It flies at the design speed for the Tu-144, 2,500 kilometers an hour, more than twice the speed of sound. So it's nothing new. Our foremost Army pilots have mastered it. What is new, though, is that Tupolev has put this incredible speed at the disposal of ordinary mortals. However, not only the speed, altitude, and distance barriers have been surmounted, but the reliability barrier, too. The landing gear was being tested. What was there about it that instilled confidence? Should the hydraulic system suddenly fail, another backup system would take over, and then, if necessary, a second backup system, and even a third. So one failure is nothing to worry about, and even two failures will not cause a crash. The crew had been pre-selected and had rehearsed the flight over and over again on the ground. Airborne, they wouldn't have the time to recall, waver, or grope. They'd have to make split-second decisions, and that meant they had to know the plane like themselves. Each of them had a college education and lengthy, thorough training for the maiden flight. Commander Yelyan, give us a readiness report, please. First, we'll make the landing gear retraction and release test. I wanted to hear what you have to say about takeoff. We've considered Alexei's remarks about reducing the ground run. The shorter the takeoff, the quicker we'll be airborne. Well, to you who are about to fly, fingers crossed. The maiden flight took place on December the 31st, 1968. Everything had long been in readiness. They'd been waiting for clear skies, but the weather continued foul, and nerves were wearing thin from the strain. Finally, however, the very last day of the year dawned clear. The mercury fell, and visibility rose. Andrei Tupolev had watched 120 maiden flights, and here he was again, waiting. Meet Flight Commander Edward Yelyan, Engineer Yuri Zeliverstov, Leading Test Engineer Vladimir Benderov, and Second Pilot Mikhail Kozlov. Yes, it was a fine day indeed. It was good to be alive on a day like that, as a well-known test pilot put it. This is Dolphin 1 ready to take off. Permission granted. Got you. Some compare it to a bird, for a bird never takes wing with its head drawn back. The plane took off and gained altitude. There was nothing left for us to do but watch and wait. Nothing depended any longer even upon the general designer. Mr. Tupolev, how did you begin? I matriculated at Moscow's higher technical school because I had a bent for engineering. Our lecturer on aviation was Nikolai Zhukovsky. We built the first glider, and I made my first flight. When Zhukovsky decided to set up an aerodynamic laboratory at the school, he said that Tupolev had clever hands, so he would be in charge of the equipment.
Руки хорошо работают. Вот мы только его и назначим заведующим оборудованием лаборатории по авиации. А нужно сказать, что никакого...
Actually, there wasn't any laboratory at all, simply a big hall the school allotted us. And that's how it all began.
Когда же пришла революция, то мы, около Николая Егоровича Жуковского, был уже тесный кружок людей,
When Soviet power came, Nikolai Zhukovsky had gathered a close circle of people dedicated to aviation. We all wanted to help our Soviet country. Tupolev has advanced through nearly every stage of aviation. He even recalls planes of plywood. He built the first all-metal aircraft. This is one of them, the ANT-3. ANT are his initials. And another, the Maxim Gorky, at that time the world's biggest. And this is the ANT-6 at the North Pole. The famous ANT-25's non-stop flights won world acclaim. It took Tupolev 63 hours to fly non-stop from Moscow to the United States. This is a Tupolev heavy bomber taking part in a landing operation. The war over, the Dean of Soviet aircraft designers again produced projects which could be classed among the boldest. The Tu-144, flagship of the Soviet Civil Air Fleet. Tupolev ushered in the jet airliner era, and now he's hurtling us beyond the sound barrier. The flight continued. Now the plane raised its head. For supersonic flight, it needed a long, pointed nose. So far, so good. Everything was proceeding normally. I've stopped climbing. Everything on board is tip-top. the craft handles with astonishing ease. Now I'm banking for the first time. The ground is visible. We've finished the maneuver. Now we're going to fly over. Have a look at us from down below. How does she look? Not bad, huh? Leo Tolstoy once wrote a story told to him by an aeronaut. The first minute I was terrified. My blood turned to ice. But then all of a sudden I felt such a joyous uplift that I forgot all about being afraid. And we'll forget to be afraid too. In 3 hours and 20 minutes, we'll fly from Moscow to Khabarovsk. In 2 hours, from Delhi to Moscow. Outstripping time will become habitual. We'll take off from Moscow at noon and land in Montreal at 9 in the morning of the same day. We enter the plane, walk down the nylon carpeted aisle, and settle in a soft armchair. Smiling air hostesses will come forward to greet us, and in all probability, no one will remember anything about those who booked this airliner for us. There are 300,000 meters of wiring alone. Of course we won't remember. It's enough for us that there is no noise, no vibration, no pressure drops. That at a 20-kilometer altitude, there are no thunderstorms or clouds, and that fares remain the same. Meanwhile, the flight continued. The airliner embodies all that is best in world science today. There is a computer center on board. If the flyers overlook something, the clever machine will remind them. Besides a sign flashing on, they will hear a voice saying, "Switch over the radio beacon," or "Release the landing gear." I'm coming in for a landing. Now the aircraft had lowered its head, for the flyers need a good all-round view for landing. This was not simply another new aircraft heading home. It was a new history-making stage in world aviation. It was over. The flight had taken 38 minutes. In that time, the plane could have flown from Moscow to Simferopol. These people can rejoice. Our Tu-144 was the world's first aircraft of its kind to take off. This was only its maiden flight. Tests and trials will continue.